roll up your mat. So it's not a big deal if you don't have anything around, but it can help. So the yogi squat, I'll demonstrate real fast. We're not going to do it right at the beginning, but I'll demonstrate real fast. When you do yogi squat, you're in this posture where knees have to bend a lot, ankles have to get a lot of stretch, calves, inner thighs, outer thighs, it's everything, right? And so when we sit in chairs, we lose that flexibility in our thighs and our hips and our low back because we lose core strength when we sit at 90-degree angles. So, so just to keep in mind that we're going to work a little bit more on those lower chakra areas and work a little bit more on the legs. So let's go ahead and come up to the top of the mat. And we're going to warm up the body a little bit at first. And then we'll kind of move through some more stuff that is more leg oriented and hip oriented. So take your feet about hips distance apart. And then take the arms up toward the sky and interlace the fingers. And squeeze your head with your arms. As you inhale, lift and stretch over to your right hand side. So I'll change directions a little bit. As you stretch over to your right hand side, we're going to get into the hips a little bit more. So make sure you're breathing. Anchor down through that right leg firmly so that you've got more lift through your right side as you go to the right side. All right, now transfer some more weight into your left leg. Keep stretching to the right, and you put your right big toe on the ground. And then if you want to play around a little bit with it, just see if you can lift that right leg up as you reach to the right with your torso. All right, come back down. Lift it nice and tall and stretch over to your left-hand side. Again, remember to breathe deeply and try to breathe into your back. And then start transferring a little bit more weight into your right leg. Put your left big toe on the ground. And then maybe lift that left leg up. All right, come back down, release your arms, do a couple big shoulder rolls to release any tension there. We're going to do one more. And from here, it's going to be a little bit more moving back and forth, a little bit more dynamic. So take the arms up on the inhale, lift up, exhale to the right-hand side. Inhale, come up. Exhale to the left-hand side. Inhale, come up. Exhale to the right. Just follow your breath. One more to each side. All right, release the arms, do a couple big shoulder rolls, both directions. All right, we're going to go for a couple of sun salutations here. Take the arms up on the inhale, look up toward the thumbs. Exhale, hinge the hips and fold. So this is one of the areas, this hamstring area, that is stretched out more in a squat. So you're going to grab your elbows, press your top forearm into your bottom forearm, and hang for a moment. Zip up your low belly. Squeeze your legs together as if you have a block between your thighs. All right, place your hands on the ground or on blocks, step back, press forward, lift your chin, lower down halfway. Tops the feet, inhale, draw the shoulders down the back so you can get your thighs off the ground. Keep drawing the shoulders down your back and look up. Exhale, downward dog. Walk it out a little bit. All right, so now you're feeling the calves, right? That's another huge place that has to get stretched out for a squat. So I'll stretch out those calves a little bit more on the next round. Just walk it out for right now. All right, look up, inhale, step forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take it to the sky. And exhale, arms to the sides. Let's go for another one. Take the arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward and lengthen your spine both directions. So stick your tailbone out a little bit, reach your heart forward. Exhale, plant the hands and step back. Press forward, lift your chin, lower down. Taps the feet, inhale. And exhale, downward dog. All right, back in downward dog. Now you're gonna use your right foot like a claw. Grab the back of your left ankle and press your left heel toward the ground. And if you have tight Achilles tendons like I do, the heel may not actually touch the ground. You're just trying to get a calf stretch and Achilles tendon stretch. So gently press down, relax your neck. All right, go to the other side, grab the back of your right ankle and press your right heel down. And let that go. Look up, inhale, step forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take it to the sky. And exhale, arms to sides. Let's go for another one. Take the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step back. Press forward, lift your chin, lower down. Taps the feet, inhale. Exhale, downward dog. All right, let's get a little bit more oblique abdominal stretch. This will move into the hips as well. So once you feel comfortable, press with that right hand. With your left hand, grab your right thigh, right calf, right ankle, whatever you can grab, and gently pull. So you're going to feel some of the fascia of your back stretching out. And if you're paying really close attention, you'll probably feel some of your hips stretching out as well. All right, and then release that left hand to the ground. Grab your left leg anywhere with your right hand and gently pull. And this is the important part we're working on, this part of the core, because we lose that when we sit in chairs, and that also makes squatting really difficult. We don't have the core strength we need for a squat often. All right, let that go. Step forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take it to the sky. And exhale, arms to the sides. All right, let's go for sun salutation B. Big toes together, heels slightly apart. Take the arms up on the inhale. Sink back into Utkatasana. Drop the shoulders down your back. Try to pull your arms more in line with your ears. And then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right leg lunges. Inhale, take it into warrior one. Drop your tailbone a little bit and lift your front hip creases. Hip points. Look up toward the thumbs and drop the shoulders. Breathe into the entire rib cage. Don't neglect the back and sides. And big exhale. Take the hands down the ground, step back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left leg lunges. Big inhale, take it up. Lift your front hip points, pressing down towards your back foot. So here, you're starting to feel more inner groin work, right? And that's also great for squatting. So as you're working the inner low belly in, front hip points up, you may feel a little bit of that inner quadricep and inner groin, inner thigh of that back leg. And exhale. Take the hands down the ground, step back, press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. 5 breaths here. Relax your neck. Lift your armpits up a little bit and roll your shoulders onto your back. And look up. Inhale, step forward. Big toes touching. Exhale, fold. Sink into Utkatasana. Take the arms up and look up. Exhale, straighten the legs, arms to sides. All right, we're going to do another variation here. Take the arms up, inhale, sit back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step back. So every time we do this forward fold, we're working hamstrings and spine. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. All right, right leg lunges. Take it up on the inhale. And then we're going to go for a little bit more inner thigh and groin. So bring your hands down to the ground. You can also use a block. Slide that left foot back a little bit. Try to get your right thigh a little closer to parallel. And then walk it over to this left corner. And then take a moment to flare your hips out. Stick your butt out. And then take this outer right hip and pull it back towards your inner left thigh. And then see if you can walk your hands forward even more. So you're going to start feeling your outer right hip. You're going to feel the groin, inner thighs of both legs. This is really essential for squatting. Take about 2 more big breaths. Let's add in the side plank just for fun. So you're going to plant that left hand on the ground, walk your right foot over to about 3 o'clock, turn it out, come to the pinky edge of your left foot, and take your right arm toward the sky. Keep working on that core. And then bring that right hand to the back of the head and press your head back into your right hand. A little bit of a back bend. All right, right hand back to the ground. Step your right leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left leg lunges. Big inhale, take it up. All right, from here, let's go deeper. Bring your hands down to the ground. And again, you can put your hands on blocks, so don't feel like you have to get to the ground. Then you're going to slide that right foot back a little bit more. Once you slide back and you feel like this left thigh is closer to parallel, then we're going to walk over to the right corner here. Stick your tailbone out, flare your hips out, and then once you have your inner thighs stretching back here and engaged, then you're going to tack that outer left hip back towards your inner right thigh, and then see if you can walk your hands a little farther forward, or slide the block a little farther forward. All right, walk it back to the center. Let's do the side plank. Walk your left foot over to the left. Plant your right hand. Come to the pinky edge of your right foot. Take your left arm toward the sky. Claw the ground a little bit with your right fingers. And then take that left hand to the back of your head and gently push your head back into your left hand. And left hand back down to the ground. Step your left leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. 5 deep breaths here. Child's pose is always a great option. Child's pose also helps a ton, especially if you've got grumpy knees, and helps stretch out that back as well. Zip up the low belly. So if you think about it, this is a squat, right? I mean, your orientation is different, but the way your body's folded in is very, very similar to a squat. All right, flip your toes over, find your downward dog, look up, inhale, step forward, exhale, fold, big toes touching, hang out for a moment, squeeze your inner thighs together, grab your elbows, press down. So slightly different than the last time because now our feet are together rather than separated. And for me, I feel this a little bit more in my outer hamstrings. Some people feel it a little bit more in the middle hamstrings. Everybody's a little bit different. So press down, just depends on where you're tight. Zip up your low belly. Might be a little bit more wobbly here since your stance is a little bit more narrow. Keep squeezing into the midline as if you're squeezing a block between your thighs. All right, take your hands to your hips, bend your knees, big inhale, come on up. And bring your hands down to the sides for Tadasana, or mountain pose. All right, we're gonna add in a couple more little lunges. Take the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back. We're gonna come back to warrior salutation B, but we're gonna hang out here for a second. So you get a nice lunge here. This is quadriceps are really important. So even if you're really working on hamstrings and hip areas that are really attached to hamstrings, these quads can start getting really tight on you as well. So taking a moment here to just get that nice length. Again, blocks are super helpful. So I have looser quads than most people who touch the ground, but blocks are really helpful. So drag to the midline. And from here, we're going to go for a kind of gentle twist. So left hand can be on the floor or on the block. Bring your right hand to your thigh. Zip up your belly. Gently push down into your right thigh, and you'll feel a little bit more stretch happening through the front of your left thigh. And then we're going to just go for a little bit of an open twist. There's not a whole lot to it. You're just going to twist, press into that right thigh and twist a little bit more to your right, and then reach your right arm back. Eventually, we're going to try to grab that foot, but not right now. Just see if you can open up the shoulder. All right, and then bring it back down and step back. Lift your left leg toward the sky. Take some deep breaths. See if you can lift your right hip crease up a little bit. All right, look up, bring that left knee in, step it forward, drop your back knee. All right, take a moment here. So again, hands can be on the ground. Drag your left foot and your right knee toward each other. If you want to come up a little higher, you can play with that if your hands don't come to the ground very comfortably. Big breathing. And as you practice more, you're going to notice one leg is tighter than the other, one hip is tighter than the other. So don't try to change it, just accept it, breathe into it. It will change over time, but it takes a lot of little tiny steps to get there. Bring your left hand to your left thigh, push into your left thigh, see if you can come up a little bit higher. All right, if you're using a block, stick with that. Otherwise, you can bring your right hand to your hip. And you're going to extend that left arm back behind you. Really working on opening up that left shoulder. Nothing to press against, so it's a lot of work if that front left shoulder is tight. But do your best. All right, and then we'll let it go. And we're going to lift that back knee up and step forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your right leg back. All right, this time, bring your arms to the inside of your left leg and see if you can come down closer to the floor. So use a block if you need to. And then bring it down. Reach your heart forward, lift your chin. So you start feeling this a little bit more on the outer left hip, essentially. There's still tons of quadricep stretch. We're trying to get into the hip as well. If this is tough, this is part of why squats are tough. This hip issue has to be stretched and breathing into it, and often there's a lot of repetition of these postures. Let's try a twist again. So this time, right hand on the floor, left arm toward the sky. And then bring that left hand to the back of your head and press it back. So again, a little bit of a back bend, open up that shoulder. All right, left hand back down to the ground. Step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. 5 breaths here. All right, bring that right knee forward. Bring your arms to the inside of the right leg. See if you can get your forearms down to a block or down to the ground. So if you're right-handed, you may feel a little bit less in this right hip than you did on the other hip. Keep your breath strong, and about 2 more to go. Lift your chin a little bit. All right, plant that left hand, and then bring your right hand to your thigh and twist. We'll reach your right arm back for a moment. And then you're going to bring that right hand to the back of your head and push your head back into your hand. All right, and let it go. Lift your back knee up. Step your left leg forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, arms to the sides. All right, we're going to come back to sun salutation C, but we're going to do another sun salutation B. Big toes together, heels slightly apart. Take the arms up on the inhale, sit back. Notice how your hips are starting to feel. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right leg lunges. Big inhale, come up. And then open up for warrior 2. So 5 breaths here in warrior 2. Drop your shoulders. Pretend somebody's grabbing your left hand and pull your torso a little bit more into your back leg. All right, turn the palm of the right hand up toward the sky. Come into exalted warrior. 5 more breaths. Come back to warrior 2. Straighten your front leg and reach through for triangle. So with triangle, you want a little curve in your low back. Stick your tailbone out a little bit. Zip up your low belly to support that curve. Roll your right knee out toward the pinky toe a little bit more. Reach through the top of the head. All right, bring your hands down to the ground. Step your right leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left leg lunges. Warrior 1, big inhale. And then open up for warrior 2. All right, so in warrior 2, 5 breaths. Drop your shoulders, look straight down your middle left finger. Pull a little bit more of your weight into your back leg. Turn the palm of the left hand toward the sky, come into exalted warrior. All right, come back through and then straighten your front leg and reach through for triangle. And then bring that left hand down somewhere to your leg. Stick your tailbone out, zip up your belly. Gently twist your rib cage toward the ceiling. Lengthen through your left side. All right, bend that front knee, bring your hands down to the ground, step your left leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog, and exhale, down dog. 5 deep breaths here. Again, child's pose is great. Look up, inhale, step forward, big toes touching. Exhale, fold. Sink into Utkatasana, take the arms out. We're gonna go for a twist here. So you're gonna sink down a little bit deeper, twist to your right, and hook that left arm to the outside of your right leg. And then you may need to tack your left hip back a little bit, and you can also play with opening up the arms as your shoulders start to warm up here. So the twists really help, believe it or not, in squats because it helps lengthen those oblique abdominals, which need to get lengthened in your squat as well. So if you can warm them up a little bit, make it a little easier. All right, come back to the center. Inhale, come on up. And let's go for the other side. Exhale, right arm to the outside of the left leg. Tack your right hip back a little bit so your right knee's not popping forward too much. One more big breath. And inhale, come on up. And exhale, arms to sides. All right, back to sun salutation C. Arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step the left leg back. All right, we're gonna go for a bigger twist. So take that left arm up and over, stretch over to your right. Should start to feel like it's warming up a little bit. And then take that left elbow to the outside of the right leg. Lift your belly up and pull it around. Hands together. All right, now flip your back toes over and see if you can lift your back knee up a little bit. So getting back into this outer hip. Nice. All right, hands down to the ground, step back. Lift your left leg toward the sky. Open up the hip, bend the knee. Lift your left knee up. So you can stay right here. This is great, working on strengthening the outer left hip, getting hamstring stretch and hip stretch in your right standing leg. But if you want to flip this into a back bend, be my guest. I find them to be really fun, but they're not always the best option if you're feeling kind of tight and stiff. So turn your right toes to the left, bend your right leg a little bit. See if that left leg will keep coming over. And then if it does, look at your left hand. Eventually, yeah, you can start going more into a back bend here, but pay attention to your body. It may still feel pretty tight through the shoulders. All right, flip it back over again. Lunge your left leg forward. Drop your back knee. All right, now we're going for that back quadricep. So hand can come to the ground, a block, your choice. Bring that left hand to your thigh, twist to your left, bend your right knee. See if you can reach back with your left hand and grab the top of your foot. If you can't quite grab it, you can lasso it with a strap or just drag your right knee forward. You don't have to touch. Get your right shoulder onto your back as well. Keep dragging that right knee forward. And usually after a few twists, you might have broken a sweat. Starts happening. Metabolism starts revving up. So step that right leg forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your right leg back. Drop your back knee. All right, let's go for the tight closed twist here. So left hand to your thigh, right arm up, stretch over to your left. All right, turn that into a bigger twist. Take that right arm to the outside of the left leg. Lift your rib cage up and twist. Bring your hands together. Look over your left shoulder. Flip your back toes over so that you can at least, at a minimum, get your right knee to dig less into the ground. And eventually you'll straighten that left leg. So there's some core work happening here to keep you stable. Zip up that low belly. All right, unwind. Step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. Open up the hip, bend the knee. If you're going to stay here, make sure your left shoulder lifts up so your shoulders are level. Lift that right knee up more so you start feeling the outer right hip doing some lifting. And again, you also should be feeling some hamstring stretch happening through that left leg. All right, flip it if you want to. Lift your left heel up high, pivot your toes to the right, bend that left leg a little bit, bring the right leg over, flip it, look at your right hand. All right, flip it again. Lunge that right leg forward, drop your back knee, and then we'll get into that quadricep. So bring your right hand to your thigh, twist to your right, take a moment here, and then you have options. So since not everybody can grab that back foot, if a strap helps, you can lasso your foot with a strap. Otherwise, see if you can bend your knee. So if you can bend your knee, great. Drag your knee forward, and then eventually someday you grab. Roll that left shoulder onto your back, look over your right shoulder. Big breaths. All right, and then unwind and step your left leg forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, arms to sides. Okay, next one. So I'll switch directions a little bit here. So we're gonna do a standing pose. Let's do triangle. Sorry, no, let's do tree first, and then we'll move into slightly more difficult postures. So you're gonna spread your toes out on your left foot and bring your right foot to your right ankle or your right calf, or bring it up to your right thigh. I like to avoid the knee joint, so I wouldn't press against the knee. The knee doesn't really bend that way. If you've got the right amount of resistance happening on both sides, the knee's not a problem, but usually the right amount of resistance doesn't actually exist. So press into the midline, leg is pushing in, right foot is pushing in. And again, try to avoid the knee. Bring your hands to your heart center. And the goal here is to open up this inner thigh groin area. So imagine you're stretching your right knee straight out to the side. Also imagine that your right buttock is pushing your right femur bone forward into your hip socket. So try to add that in there as well. And you're still pushing your right foot into your inner left thigh. If you want to add one more bit, see if you can kind of drag your right heel up toward your groin. Now we're going to add in a little side stretch. So bring your right hand to your thigh, take your left arm up, and then slowly start stretching to your right, letting that right hand slide down your leg as appropriate. And I love this one because it's a lot of ankle doing work here, and that's going to help you in your squats as well. All right, let's go for the other side. Spread your toes out on your right foot. Make sure you have a nice wide base. Left foot comes to the ankle or somewhere on the calf, or avoid the knee joint altogether and come higher than the knee. Press the foot and leg into each other no matter how high or low the foot is. Bring your hands into your heart center at first. Breathe. All right, so not only are you pressing the left foot and right leg into each other, you are stretching your left knee out to the side, and you're using your left buttock back there in the back, the glutes, to push forward into the femur bone. So you should feel like you're trying to press very close to the groin forward, and then even maybe drag your left heel up a little bit. Just keep remembering you're trying to do a million things here. So foot presses in, knee stretches out, inner thigh, top of the femur bone pushes forward using your back butt muscles, heel pulls up. Take the arms up, and we are going to go for the left leg. So bring your left hand down to your left thigh, start stretching slowly to your left hand side. Breathe. Notice how much work your ankle is doing to stabilize you. Keep breathing. . All right, and then come on down. All right, next one, hip opener. We're gonna do a few of these different standing poses. Spread your toes on your left foot, bend your left leg, cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh near the knee, flex the toes back to the knee. That keeps the knee even on both sides, and then hang out here. So you have options. If you would like to use blocks, go for it. You bring your hands down to blocks. Don't forget to breathe. This is where I would play with this. So squats, for many people, has a lot to do with calves, Achilles tendons, hamstrings. Some of us is the knees, right? So, and there's only so much you can do to fix knees, depending on what you've done with them. But it does help to bend them more, just getting more flexibility in them, getting more juice, essentially, happening in those joints. There's not a whole lot of blood flow in your knees. Most of your veins and arteries sort of bypass the knees a bit. So it just doesn't, knees just don't have as much circulation as the rest of the body. So if you can get down a little deeper, what that does is it creates a little bit more of a traffic jam there in terms of circulation, get some blood into your knees, synovial fluid. And then you can straighten that leg a little bit. So playing with this, and I wouldn't exactly call it pumping the knees, but if you can kind of straighten a little bit and bend a little bit, it will help. And you'll start feeling some of those quadricep muscles, hamstring muscles. You'll start feeling a lot of those other muscles that should be doing a lot more of the work getting involved. So it's not just knee, even though you're getting a little bit more heat and fluid into that knee. Good fluid, not bad fluid. We don't want it to get stuck. All right, so from here, if you are feeling it, you can come down deeper into a squat. Now, if squats are pretty tough for you, this is a difficult posture, but it's worth playing with as long as it doesn't feel really painful on your knee. So, and then I found I used to be really good at this, coming in and out of this without any help, but you know, my knees get cranky too. So if you're in this and you want to come out of this with a little help, use your blocks, push into the blocks and come on out of it. Another option is let that leg go, put both feet on the ground and then go for a forward bend. And let's go for the hips on the other side. All right, so come on up, big inhale. Spread your toes on your right foot. Make a little shelf here. Cross that left ankle on top. Hinge at the hips. Hands can stay on the hips or they can come down to blocks or the ground. Flex those toes back toward the knee. Breathe. This is the left side, so if you're a right-hander, it may be a lot of hip right now. Big breathing. Those hip muscles use up a ton of oxygen, so make sure your breaths are super strong, very conscientious. And you can stay here the whole time, but I would recommend a little bit of bending in the knee and then straightening. A little bending of the standing leg and then straighten. Maybe come down into a squat if that seems appropriate. You can even practice balancing a little bit. All right, and then you can push up, maybe using your blocks, or just let that left leg go and do a forward bend. Grab your elbows, press your top forearm into your bottom forearm, and swing gently from side to side. All right, take the hands to the hips, bend the knees, big inhale, come on up. Okay, so next one. We're gonna go for the up into the chest. You have options here. So if you have, tightness in the hips and your knee doesn't come up that high, then you're gonna use a strap. So I'll demonstrate with the strap, but theoretically you can also get your hands under your foot. So this may be an option here. So my hands are on the strap is on the ball of the foot. I'm bringing my knee up. And if you can also bring that thigh up a little bit more into your chest and just hug the front of your shin. What'll happen is, whether or not you have your strap under your foot or whether you're hugging your shin, eventually over time, You want to start sneaking those hands closer to the bottom of the foot. This left leg is doing a lot of work. So my left thigh muscles are pushing my left thigh bone back. I should feel my outer left hip doing some work here. As I start feeling comfortable, I'm going to try to grab the bottom of my foot, interlace my fingers, and then see if I can get that left leg a little straighter. So breathing deeply. If you want to play with this a little bit, if this seems doable, then start stretching your leg out in front of you. It doesn't have to go totally straight. But again, we're working on the standing leg. So really think about pressing the left thigh back if you happen to stretch your right leg forward. And again, strap is fine. You don't have to be grabbing the foot. All right, let it go. Let's try for the other side. So we're just trying to get flexibility in the hips here. Spread the toes out on your right foot. Bring your left leg up. Grab the front of the shin. If you'd rather use a strap and put that under your foot, that's excellent as well. Breathe deeply. So I'm squeezing my left thigh into my left rib cage. I can tell you right now, since I'm right-handed and my left hip is tighter, my left thigh is not coming as close into my left chest as I'd like, or my left rib cage. So you may find that that sort of imbalance is happening with you too. Bend your right knee a little bit. Possibly sneak the hands down a little closer to your foot. And keep that right leg attempting to get straight, pushing that right thigh back. We're really working on that right thigh. And then if you have the flexibility, you can extend out with that left leg, but keep pushing that right thigh back. Don't forget to breathe. All right, and then let that go. Walk it out a little bit, see how those hips feel. Hip flexors should feel a little different. All right, let's go for one more. So you're gonna take your feet wide, Prasarita Padottanasana. Outer edges of the feet are parallel to the short edges of the mat. Turn the toes in, bring your hands to your hips, lift your heart on the inhale, and then exhale, forward bend. Reach down and grab your big toes. If you cannot grab your big toes, come a little higher onto your shins. Spine should be long. So inhale, reach your heart forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. If you are grabbing onto your toes pretty comfortably and your elbows are bending, bend them out to the sides. And then make sure your weight is in your inner heels as well as your outer heels. And you want more weight in your front heels than your back heels. If you feel tugging behind the knees, bend the knees a little bit. All right, bend the knees, bring the hands to the hips. Inhale, come on up. All right, so blocks are going to be super helpful here. Now, we're going to come into the right leg. So you're going to bend that right knee. Right knee needs to try to line up with the middle toes. Take your block out in front of you. So you're extending your left leg. This is pretty straight here. And my right knee is bent. And I'm sinking into that right side. And then I'm going to come through and go to the other side. Now let's come through and go to the other side. All right, one more time. Come through, go to the other side. Try to extend the spine a little bit more. All right, come back through. Turn your toes out. Now, sink down. Bring your hands to your thighs. You may need to lean forward a little bit. Once you're here, tighten up your buttocks. And then see if you can start coming up a little bit more upright. So you should feel a lot of inner thigh here. And keep tightening up your buttocks so that your inner thighs feel supported. So this is a great squat, right? I mean, it's more wide-legged. It doesn't work the hamstrings as much, or the calves, or the Achilles tendons. It definitely feels more than the quads, right? All right, inhale, come on up, and step up to the front of your mat. All right, one more thing. Dancer pose. Spread your toes out on your left foot. Grab the top of your right foot. Take your left arm toward the sky. Grab your right foot with your left hand as well. See if you can open up the shoulders. All right, take that left arm back up. Grab your foot from the inside and push it back. And let that go. Let's go for the other side. Spread your toes on your left foot. Grab your left. Stretch your knee to the ground. If you've got funky knees, using a strap around your foot's fine. Keep stretching your left knee down. And then take your right arm up. And I say funky knees as if I'm like pointing out one person or another. It's like 50% of the population, right? So a lot of these yoga postures can be super frustrating because when you look at the beautiful end Instagram posture, right, it's all these people with super flexible knees and hip flexors, and that's just not reality for most of us. So from here, see if you can grab your foot with your other hand, just get the shoulders onto your back. All right, take that right arm up, grab your foot from the inside or grab that strap, push your left foot into your left hand. Pull your core in, zip up your low belly, pull the front ribs in. And let it go. Nice job. Okay, let's come down to seated. We're going to skip the squat for a second, do a couple more things on the ground. So come on down. Take your left leg forward and your right knee in. So this is the beginning of a couple of things, Malasana. You're going to hug this right knee in right now. And if you need a strap to get your left foot, use your strap. Put it around the ball of your foot. Otherwise, grab your big toe. So I'm hugging my right thigh in close to my right rib cage. Now I'm going to lift my chest up and see if I can slide forward a little bit more. Lean forward, reach your heart forward. Eventually, I'm going to go closer and closer to the leg. It doesn't really matter how close you go. It just has to do with your hamstrings. But as you go closer, you're going to notice that this right knee kind of wants to flop out. So that's where you're hugging in right now. Try to keep it squeezed in. All right, you're going to change this a little bit. So I'm going to change my perspective for you so you can see what else I'm doing. So I'm kind of going for a forward bend here. Hugging in this right thigh, trying to keep it in close to my thigh. Now I'm going to switch my arms. So now if I'm using a strap on this left foot, I'm going to put the strap in my right hand. So I'm going to place my left hand on the ground, take that strap with my right hand or grab my foot with the right hand, and now I'm going to use my right thigh to actively squeeze in with my right thigh. And it's going to want to kind of pop out to the right. So nice deep breaths here. The next variation of this posture is you're going to bring your right arm to the front of your shin. So I'm going to demonstrate again from the side. So presses against the front of the shin. Essentially, I'm trying to get my arm out to the side, or my elbow back. And that's going to help me bring my right rib cage forward. So this is a tight spot, especially in the squats, that oblique abdominal area connecting the right rib cage to the right hip, super, super tight. And I'm trying to basically make it do a little bit of a twist here as I press my right arm into the front of my right shin. So you should feel a lot happening between the right hip and the right rib cage right now. This does turn into a bigger posture, so if you happen to have the flexible shoulders, etc., you can wrap that right hand around and grab your right fingers with your left hand. It's not necessary, it's just one of those shoulder things, and it does start turning it into a slightly more involved posture. But what we're going for is the hip and the oblique abdominals. So add in the shoulders if you want to. All right, let's go for the other side. So extend your right leg now. You'll be like, ooh, feel all that happening right there. So left foot in. I'm going to hug the left leg in right now with my left arm. And then with my strap, get to the foot or grab the big toe. So as I'm gently trying to pull myself forward, my spine tries to stay long, my chest is up and my chin is up. I'm still hugging that left leg in as much as I can with that left arm because that left leg really wants to pop out. And that's okay, just breathe and hug. And even this is not full blown into the posture. So if you're way up here, you're like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I can't even get into a forward bend. That's okay. You're still in a totally legitimate forward bend, even if you're really up here, just fighting to keep that left leg in. All right, now we're gonna switch. So from here, switch those hands, bring the right hand out, reach forward with the left hand and grab your strap or your foot. And now you have to use your left leg to squeeze in without getting hugged in. So keep using your inner thighs and squeeze in, squeeze in. You may feel like your left hip is off the ground a little bit, and that's okay. Keep breathing, keep reaching your heart forward, lengthen your spine, squeezing your left leg in. Wherever you end up going is fine. And then we're gonna try to get that left arm to press against the shin. So I'll demonstrate from a slightly different angle. So here we are, reaching forward, press that back of that left arm into the left leg. Left leg is still trying to squeeze in. I'm lifting my chest and pushing pretty firmly into the right hand. So if that's hard to do, you can also put a block down under that right hand to help give you some more lift through the spine. Left hip and left rib cage, that's what we're accessing right now. There's more going on than that, but that should be something you feel. All right, 2 more big breaths. All right, and then come on out of it. All right, let's do Baddha Konasana. So bottoms of the feet together. Have your block nearby. Open up the feet like a little book. First one, just bring your forehead towards your toes. So you're gonna round your back. Pull your chin into your chest. All right, come on up. Now we're gonna bring the block to the inside of the feet. So you're gonna separate your feet a little bit, put that block between your feet. I'm at the skinniest level here. Now you're gonna sit up tall. So you're gonna maybe grab your ankles. You can also keep pressing your feet into the block. Essentially pretend the block is like 2 pieces of bread and you're making a panini, so really squeeze in. And then sit up tall, drop your shoulder blades, lift your chin, keep pushing your feet into the block. See if you can stretch your knees out to the sides. What will happen is as you start opening up these inner thighs and you're stretching the knees out, the goal is out, but what will end up happening is the knees will drop a little bit. And you can tell, like, these are really important muscles for a squat, right? Those inner thighs really matter. If you feel like there's a little bit of a forward bend available, go for it. Just keep your spine long. So we did the first one, a big back rounding, which was great because we were stretching out the fascia of the back, but now we're really working on the hips. So I want your back to stay as long as possible. Lift your chest, breathe deeply. All right, let's try going a little wider. So you're gonna flip your block so that you're going wide now. Put the block that's a little wider between your feet. Again, it may just be a challenge to sit up super tall here. So if that's the case, squeeze the feet into the block, stretch the knees out to the sides, sit up as tall as you can. If there's a little bit of forward bend, that's great. All right, let's do it one more time. Now you're gonna go as long as you can with the block. So get the block super long, the entire length, put that between the feet. So now your feet are 10 inches apart. Squeeze in, squeeze those knees out, sit up tall, and keep working the feet in and the knees out. And again, if there's a little bit of a forward bend, that's fine. You can tell there's a lot of core strength, and part of this is really deep core, right? Like you can feel your low back stretching a little bit, but it's that low belly pulling into the spine that's really doing the work here. All right, let it go. Let's lie on our backs for a moment. Cross that right ankle just below the left knee on the thigh. Bring that left leg in, grab the back of your left thigh or the front of your left shin, and rock them side to side. So we're getting through the hips. Just want to make sure we get a little bit more of that outer gluteus minimus medius area. And you can keep hanging out here and breathing and rocking. If you start getting a little bit more flexible with this posture, you can always hook elbows under the shin and put your left foot on the floor. You can also extend that left leg at some point. So play around a little bit with that. And what you usually start feeling is a little bit more of this outer hip, and then it kind of slides into IT band. All right, let's go for the other side. Bring your right foot to the ground. Cross your left ankle on top. Grab the back of the thigh or the front of the shin. You can always use a strap. Flex your toes back toward your knee. Rock from side to side. All right, maybe go a little deeper. Maybe hook your elbows under. Maybe put your right foot on the floor. Maybe extend. But if the first pigeon you were working on seems like a really happy place to be, stick with that. Remember to breathe. All right, let's do one more groin stretch. So grab your big toes or the outsides of your feet. Do a little happy baby dead bug. Rock around from side to side a little bit. And even here, bottoms of the feet facing the ceiling, you can feel chunks of your hips, right? So depending on where your tightness is, you'll feel this in slightly different places. You may feel it toward the back. You may feel it toward the side. For me, it's a little bit more groin, but it's basically your whole hip flexor that you're working with, all of them. So from here, see if you can start straightening the legs a little. I'm not going for a full straightening because I'm trying to roll my tailbone toward the ground. So focus on rolling the tailbone toward the ground so that you're not rolling your hips off the ground. And if that means your legs are a little bit more bent, that's okay. You can get them a little straighter. Experiment and see. All right, let's see how our squats are doing. So actually, let's do one more. We'll do, instead of doing an arm balance, we'll do an arm balance on our back. We'll do Bakasana crow on our backs. And that'll be working these hip flexors in a slightly different way. So you claw the ground, right, in a Bakasana when you're doing an arm balance. So now, since we're upside down, you're going to claw the ceiling. And then bend the elbows, clawing the ceiling. Then you're going to pull the knees in and try to touch the elbows with your knees. And you can already feel some of your belly doing work here. Now, I know it seems totally counterintuitive, but try to roll your tailbone toward the ground. So it's not going to come all the way down, but just be aware that you're rounding your back a lot, and you want to be able to engage more of your core, and the best way to do that is to roll your tailbone toward the ground and get a little bit of a neutral low back. So it won't be perfect. And then bring your feet together. So touch your big toes. And then that might be it. You might be feeling a ton happening through the hips, through the hip flexors, through your core. If you want to go a little deeper, see if you can slide your knees closer to your armpits. And breathe. And release. All right, bring your feet down to the ground. Let's take a moment to stretch out the hip flexors, and then we'll try for our squat. So you're going to take your feet wide on your mat, and then windshield wiper your knees over to the right-hand side. And that can be great. You can just let the knees windshield wiper over. If you'd like to add a little extra in, take your right foot and place it on the outside of the left thigh near the knee. And then you can apply a little bit of pressure and get a little bit more stretch to the hip flexor. All right, let that go. Put the right foot on the outside edge of the mat. Drop the knees over to the left side. Take your left leg, left ankle, place it on the outside of your right thigh near the knee. And then look over your right shoulder. All right, let that left foot go. All right, take a moment. We're going to roll over onto one side, and we're going to try for a squat. So see how everything feels. Now keep in mind that even though we did all of that loosening up, the squat may not still be gorgeous. So my heels, my Achilles tendons are tight. My heels don't come down very easily. If that is your issue, as it is for many of us, you can use a blanket here. So you can roll up a blanket, stick the blanket under your heels. You can also do this with your mat. So you can get the end of your mat and roll it up and just get the blanket or mat under your heels. So this works a lot better for some of us, just to give you a little bit of stability here. And then you can hang out. So nice deep breaths here. Your knees, your feet can be pretty wide. There is a variation of the squat. So it can be really wide here. You just kind of bring your elbows to the insides of your legs. Then there's a variation called Malasana, where the legs are a little bit closer together. And you can play with that a little bit as well. If you are super tight, and this is not an Achilles tendon issue so much for you, maybe your knees are just tight and grumpy, then hanging out a little bit higher works as well. So you can either sit on a block, or you can kind of hang out here. So this is where a lot of my students are, right here. Part of it's the hip flexors, part of it's the hamstrings, some of it's knees. A lot of my students have replacement knees too, so you're up a little higher if your knees don't bend this way, which replacement knees don't. And then from here, you can try for Malasana. So Malasana, if you have knees that don't bend so well, it's a little bit higher, and you're gonna bring your feet together more. Eventually, ankles are gonna touch. And you're gonna sink down. So it kind of looks like Utkatasana, right? When we do Utkatasana at the beginning of our practice. So it looks a little bit like that if you're a little tighter through the knees. And then you're gonna twist. So you can take the blocks over to that right side and twist here. If your hips are down lower in Malasana, then the same thing, you can take that left arm to the outside of the right leg and twist. An arm can go up or not, but you're breathing and squeezing your inner thighs together. And I'll demonstrate from a slightly different angle here. So legs are together, ankles are together. Try really hard to keep them all together and make one big leg out of your legs. And then you can twist a little bit if that seems appropriate. The full-blown posture, which I'm not going to show because my shoulders are too tight for it, is to take that right arm all the way around, and then you clasp your hands. So my left arm slides in front of my ankles, and I clasp my hands over here somewhere. My shoulders just are way too tight for that, and they always happen. So in Ashtanga, which is what I started doing and had been practicing for years and years, I could never really legitimately get into the second series of Ashtanga if the teacher didn't know me well, because the teacher was like, sorry, you can't do that grab. And I'm like, but it's my shoulders. So whatever, you know, some things are just worth trying for, and some of them aren't. So we're gonna go for the other side. Squeeze your inner thighs. Twist to the left. Doesn't have to be huge, but remember to breathe. Keep squeezing those ankles together. Keep squeezing the legs together. Take breaks if you need to. You can always push into a forward bend. When you're ready, hang out, forward bend, straight legs, grab your elbows, hang. All right, come on down. So let's go for a little bit of inversion. I want you to add a little bit of core into this inversion. So you can do forearm balance. I'm going to just play with headstand today because I haven't shown it recently. But if you want to use the wall, you can certainly use that as well. I'm going to use the wall because I want to show you the core part that I want you to do. But if you're against the wall, it's the same thing. So let's say we're going for a headstand or a forearm balance. So you got your forearm balance. You can always hang out here and pull a knee in. I'm going to do headstand. So I clasp my arms. I'm grabbing around the outsides of my elbows. This is to guarantee that my elbows stay below my shoulders. And then elbows stay in place to swing my hands forward. Once I do that, I'm going to bring the back of my head to my hands, press my forearms into the ground. Right about where your watch would be, that's where you want to anchor down. So just below your wrist. And then come on up. So I'm pressing my forearms in the ground, coming up. I can also use a wall, so I can put my foot up against a wall here. Nice deep breaths. And what I want to do is work on this, press into my forearms, and pull a knee into my chest. And what I'm doing is I'm working a lot of belly muscle and back muscle as I pull the knee into my chest. So this is a great way to just start doing a headstand, working some of those core muscles, making sure you're strong on the back side as well as the front side. And then if that feels really good and you can hang out for a while and you're not super fatigued, then a full-blown headstand is great. Another really great way to come into headstand, and you'll notice my hips kind of slightly go to my shoulders here, is past my shoulders, is this. This works a lot of low core, just hanging out here. I'm just doing little leg lifts here. And I'll just demonstrate against the wall as well. Always measure. So here we are, and you can pull a knee in. And pull a knee in. Again, if headstand seems like that doesn't work for you, if you feel like there's just too much of your neck is doing the work and not enough of your forearms and back is doing the work, do forearm balance. Forearm balance is great. It's going to build up all that strength you need to be able to do a headstand eventually. You don't want your neck to be taking most of the weight of the headstand. It does a little bit, but a lot of it is your arms, forearms, back that's doing the work. So if you feel like your neck's doing most of it, back off and do something else. So do another 5 breaths here. If you're done, take a child's pose. So take a few breaths in child's pose. All right, we're going to go for Anahatasana, heart melting pose. So your hips are over your knees. You're going to slide your hands forward. Drop your forehead or your chin to the ground. If you've got a grumpy neck, forehead is probably better than chin.
And then melt your heart. And your chest may not actually touch the ground, but you want to pretend it's trying to. Melt your heart as if there is a large, smooth, warm stone on your upper back and it's melting down through your chest to the ground. As your heart is melting toward the ground, resist the ground a little bit with your hands and arms. All right, come on out of it and find a variation that you would like of Shavasana. So if you like Shavasana, but maybe you've got a little bit of tightness in the low back and hamstrings, a blanket under your knees is fantastic. You can hang out here, take some nice deep breaths. If you would like to put something under your hips, you can do that. This is a great variation. It's really lovely for the SI joint and hips if you tend to have any hip pain or low back pain. Wonderful. And then you can also take your legs up, and if you position yourself correctly, you can put your legs up against the wall. Now we did do a ton of hips today. So if you want to get a little bit more shoulders in there, this is my preference, the one under the back. Bottom of the block, under the shoulders. Matches up with the tips of the shoulder blades. The other block under the head. Palms up toward the sky. And if you would like to stay in Shavasana for a little bit longer, please do. If you need to get up and going, take your arms over your head and your legs a little bit closer together and take a big stretch, big inhale. And a big exhale, relax. And then one more time, let's hold it for 5 counts. Take a big inhale, stretch out. Hold it on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5. Big exhale, relax. And then depending on where you are, you may want to hug your knees into your chest and roll up, or you may want to roll over onto one side. Again, you can stay in Shavasana if you'd like to stay there for a little longer. And bring your hands into your heart center. And just take a moment. Thank yourself for getting up, taking care of yourself, making space and room for yourself, which is really the core of self-care. Bring your hands up to your forehead for kind thoughts, down to your lips for kind words, and down to your heart center for kind intentions. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.